This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so today is Wednesday, April 8th, and as always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. All right, so this morning so far has been a little bit weak. I really haven't seen really any show of hand that's came out so far, and it looks like CCL just hit that 12, but even two prints, I'm not going to be looking at as a show of hand, but I got a few things that I'm going to be looking at, and it's just really going to be a lot of patience and coming closer into the morning and seeing those prints come out. So one thing I do want to look at is ZM. So ZM has just been an absolutely phenomenal trade. I mean, you can see the range, $8.26. It's been following the rules very, very well, and this morning it's getting a little bit hot. Now, the one thing that I do want you to notice is that pretty much since after 8 o'clock, there is all the bigger prints have been buying, but it really hasn't been anything substantial whatsoever. The only thing is that we haven't seen selling coming in, but at this 110 level, if you remember from yesterday, there is a lot of selling that came in, and we made a huge pull-up from it yesterday, and you can see that pull-up that just came in again. So I'm going to still be looking for that selling to start coming in to tell us that we're going to be breaking underneath the 110. Now, obviously, there isn't a show of hand in it yet, so we're going to have to, no matter what, even though we have that at that 110, if we get a great trigger, I probably am going to take it, but we still need to see some type of selling coming into this. Otherwise, we're going to end up pushing back above the 120, which also has some ask prints that are sitting there. Next thing we're looking at is APT. So make sure you go out there and you're able to, and you request shares. I know I was able to get shares this morning because we want to be able to play this thing both sides. I mean, it's just had a pretty crazy range going back and forth, from past few weeks. So coming in this morning, once again, you can see if we look at all the prints, from earlier, there's just not really a show of hand type prints that's came into this yet. You can see 1452 prints. I can't go off of that. Nice off-level selling that just came in right now, and it's looking like, well, obviously we're breaking that 14, but you can see we're just not really getting the prints at the level during the pre-market so far. So it's very hard to go on direction besides very short-term prints as well as trend. Those are pretty much the two ways that you'd be looking for anything going on out there because of the fact we're just not seeing it. All right, so obviously going to be looking for another show of hand within here, but you can see the range. It's going to be a good trade today. It's just a matter of getting that like I said, show of hand. Next thing we're looking at is IQ. So IQ is interesting. Now, if we look at it, it's once again, it's just not really giving any type of really great prints. We come over to that 16 level, you can see one bid print. There's just not enough there for us to really go on yet. So once again, short-term prints in the trend, and you can see from the 1625 coming back up, we've been pretty much getting nothing but buying within here. But again, we need to see some type of market maker come in there with controlling prints to really give us that definitive direction of where these things are going to be going. Okay. Also looking at Oxy again. So Oxy has jumped up, and the only reason I'm really even that interested is because it's one of the best bursts of prints that we saw pretty much all morning. You can see right here at that 1424. One of the better things. Now this is really kind of it's not doing anything yet, so this is going to be towards the bottom of the list. But we know that this thing can trade. And that's really what it comes down to, is that nice little burst there. And once the market opens, we are going to see a pretty decent range that comes into it, because if you look at yesterday, we had below average on range and pretty much average volume. So I'm going to be expecting a little bit more range today than it typically does. So just another one that I do want to keep an eye on. Now, obviously, we're going to be looking at the airlines and the cruise ships, just like we have been. Like I said, not really much there at the 12 and CCL. 3550's got two prints in RCL, and there's just not really much that's going on yet. Obviously, they're going to be movers. We know that for a fact. So we'll keep our eyes on those, but they're just not really anything there for the list. Now let's take a look at the side list right now. MBRX. So the thing about MBRX is that first attempt up at that 150, I was not happy whatsoever. Now it is starting to go back up there. But once again, if you look, it's just really mixed. This is going to be a rough one. But, at the same time, I'm not worried about selling. I'm worried about new buying. And it definitely did get that second time a bunch of new buying. And you can see as it's been moving back up, no lack of new buying. The only problem that we have here is it, once the market opens, is it really going to make any type of move? Because the range is not a big one. It really moves in about 10-cent increments. So just want to make sure that this thing is going to fit your game plan if you are looking to trade it. And then TWO. So TWO, we know we came over to this 450 level earlier this morning, and if you look, all the bigger prints in here, this is on a side list, because if you look, the volume itself and the trading, just absolute garbage. But when you get prints like this, it definitely catches my attention. So I will be watching it. I mean, I'm not ecstatic about anything about it. Once the market opens, we might not even really see it start to trade that much. But based off the volume we've seen on the daily over the past few weeks, I definitely do think that we should see it end up trading. And then once again, obviously want to pull back from that 450 a a little bit more, not much, because once again, this is another one that's moving in 5 to 10 cent increments right now as personality during the pre-market. But off of there, definitely want to see a little bit of a pullback. These are definitely shorter term prints that we saw coming in above after the 450 prints. So certainly, it's got the prints itself are looking great. The stock itself, it's not really, not really something to write home about. But overall, we have some stuff to be looking at. It's just like I said, right now, this morning has not shown a lot of great, any real show of hands, and that's what we're going to be wanting to wait for. All right, guys, now anything else out there that I missed? Anything else out there that I missed? All right, perfect. So once again, patience. Let's make sure that we are focusing on finding that show of hand. Do not try to rush anything. We're going to get lots of high percentage trades, even though the pre-market right now is a little bit iffy. Do not try to rush things. Wait for the trade to come to you. Don't go out there trying to force anything just because the market is actually opening. All right, guys, pins. Let's see. No. No. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that might move, but as of right now, with the volume it has, and it's not trading at all, there's just better stuff for us to be looking at. All right. All right, guys, I will talk to everyone in the chat, and happy trading.